Welcome to The Reasons We Smile with Dr. Kovac, the show that brings you man-on-the-street interviews, celebrity guests, groundbreaking research, and heartwarming stories about the reasons we smile. Our show is also known as everything you've always wanted to know about dentistry, but we're too numb to ask. Hello, I'm General Dentist Dr. Kovac, and thank you for joining me today.
The following views and opinions do not necessarily reflect those of this station, its staff, management, or parent company. To hear a replay of this show or one of the great shows that previously aired, log on to thereasonswesmile.com or iTunes, keyword Dr. Kovac or The Reasons We Smile. Listeners should not use Dr. Kovac's comments and advice in place of an actual dental exam.
Brighten your life with a smile that shows the professional touch of Dr. Kovac.
Time now for The Reasons We Smile with Dr. Kovac. Call 459-9769 to discuss your dental issues. Now, here's your host, Dr. Kovac.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Reasons We Smile. I'm Dr. Kovac. This is episode number 444. Today, with me in the studio is Steve Locker of Second Nature Sports. Their website, by the way, is 2nsports.com. And our topic is going to be Steve's feeling that before kids can play like a pro, they must enjoy the game like a kid. Right, Steve?
Exactly.
All right, let me tell you a little bit about Steve. He is, well, first of all, you've been a coach, you've been a player, you played at Penn State, you coached at Harvard for 7 years. Boy, you've been all over the place. It's pretty cool.
I've had some wonderful experiences. Very enjoyable.
You even won 2 Ivy League titles.
I did.
I bet that was an experience dealing with some of the parents of the Ivy League kids.
It was right around the time when what we call helicopter parents started coming into.
They invented the term?
Yes, I think so.
And they probably owned a helicopter too, right?
They actually, yeah, I have a funny story about that.
Oh, okay. Maybe if we have time, we'll get to that, okay?
Sure, yeah.
All right, so anyway, and by the way, if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, it's at Dr. Kovac, or please go to my office Facebook page and like us. Also, all past episodes, complete with video, are available at thereasonswesmile.com. All right, so, and also, Steve has written a book called, Playing for the Long Run.
Playing for the long run.
Which kind of ties into your kind of motto or that quote that I mentioned. You're not going to play for the long run if you don't enjoy it like a kid.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So tell me, how did you come to that conclusion?
I think after having spent we're now 12 years in the business of working with children in our academy, and we've had over 35,000 kids. And somewhere along the way, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I was bombarded with questions from parents about navigating youth sports. And the thing that struck me was the extreme number of children who quit by the age of 13. And when I started to examine that, I started to really look at what are we doing in terms of our participation that is causing this large number of dropouts. And I'd always played just for the pure enjoyment and fun of the game. And so we started examining that premise a little bit. And from that, we really started to hone in on programming, curriculum, things like that were age appropriate, that made the games more fun and allowed children to actually stay in the games and play for all the right reasons.
So you worked with some childhood development folks, behavioral specialists, Professors Dave Fernie and Dr. Jackie Goodway.
Correct.
Did you commission the research, or you just learned of their research and kind of brought it together with what you wanted to do?
I actually had met Dr. Dave Fernie at a reunion at Harvard. He happened to be a Harvard grad, and he was an OSU professor.
Oh.
So when I moved to Columbus, I reconnected with him, and he was the first person I called when I came up with this notion of working with children in soccer. And it was his input, along with the motor skill development input of Dr. Goodway, that helped formulate the curriculum that we use today.
Okay. Now, I have 4 children, and when they were little, I tried to expose them to as many different sports as I could, just because you don't know what they're going to like, you don't know what they're going to be good at. And let's face it, if you're good at something, it's easier to like it than if you're not good at something.
Right.
So, I mean, we let them try karate and gymnastics and ice skating and hockey and, oh my goodness, they did like roller skating, they did water skiing, snow skiing, anything that I could think of that swimming lessons, anything I could think of, and then it was like, okay, well, we're gonna let them pick, but they don't know what to pick unless they've been exposed. Right. So, but I think what you're trying to combat would be the parent who loves soccer, maybe played soccer in college, and they absolutely want their child to be a soccer player, right?
There comes that time when, as parents, we begin to think of this notion that if my child specializes in one particular sport,
right,
they'll have a greater chance for success. I agree wholeheartedly with what your approach was, and that was expose children to as many opportunities and different kinds of activities that you can, and they will then begin to gravitate towards the sports that they enjoy. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can address sports specialization as a topic. I think it's a very important topic. In our culture, the natural inclination is to think that if I participate in just one sport,
right,
as I begin to grow up, I'll get really good at that sport, increase my chances for success, and be able to achieve, all kinds of goals. And unfortunately, that mentality is somewhat counterintuitive to the actual development of a good athlete.
Right, and I understand that, but then there is also this thinking, and I can't say I disagree with it, that is, if you want to be the best, or maybe even like go to the Olympics and win a gold medal, you kind of have to start at an early age, so there's a quandary there. Right, but don't most Olympic gold medalists, they started at 4 or something?
Yeah, and I don't know that that's necessarily true. The Olympics is a unique platform in which to participate and compete.
Well, I'm just thinking in general, whatever sport you're in, say football or baseball or pick another sport,
right?
Ice hockey. If you start at 4, 2 or 3 or 4, and you can get assuming you had the natural ability and all that. So I understand parents who say I've got to get them started at a young age,
right?
But you're saying not necessarily.
No, not necessarily at all. I mean, there are local high school football coaches in Central Ohio who actually tell kids, "Hey, play soccer until you come to high school. We'll teach you how to play football."
Right.
They don't want them playing youth football.
Oh,
and
cool.
And there are many cases of football players who started very late, mm-hmm, and have achieved great success
because they had the physical attributes. They'd run fast and they were strong,
right,
and that sort of thing. And
right. I think it's unfortunate. I have parents ask me all the time, is it too late to start my child in soccer? And I'll ask them a question, well, how old's your child? And they'll say 4.
Oh, and now that's kind of funny.
And I start, I just have to laugh and shake my head because, I didn't start until I was 10.
Oh, okay.
And so I had the chance to play in college and play in Europe. And so, even starting at age 10 was okay.
I started playing drums at age 10 and I did okay. I went off to play professionally for a couple of years. So yeah, I guess you're right.
I think there's a huge similarity between music and sports and the arts and all the different professions.
That's another thing I let my kids do. Dance. They did dance. They did musical instruments,
Exactly.
Choir.
And those are excellent. And I think what we as parents have to realize is we have to realize what is it that allows someone to become really good at something.
Right.
And when you step back away from that and you answer that question honestly, the answer is they get really good at it because they love it.
Right.
And so now when we understand that the love drives the work ethic, if we can figure out how to create the environment that allows that love to form, that passion to form, then we've figured it out. And unfortunately, we don't get to that level very, very often.
Okay.
We think about other things, not how to develop that love. We want a speed coach, we want a strength coach, we want all these special coaches to help our kids get good.
Right.
But if we take a step back, none of that really matters.
Right.
It's our children buying into the notion that, hey, I just have to work hard.
Right.
And so
a couple things come to mind. I can't forget this sport. My son and daughter both also played lacrosse, and I can't leave out lacrosse because my son played college lacrosse. So if he's listening, he would be upset. You didn't even mention lacrosse. I mentioned it. And also my oldest son played a little bit of football as an 8th grader. Mm-hmm. And you brought up football, so let me just talk about that. We know about concussions and how Dr. Bennett Amalu determined that concussions are a big problem in the NFL. And I know that if a player wears a certain type of mouth guard developed by Dr. Gerald Marr called the Marr appliance, it can be minimized. Do you think children playing soccer should wear a mouth guard as well? I mean, you do the headbutting, and you can get concussions in soccer, right?
Right. We try not to call it headbutting. That's a different technique. We call it heading, and
oh, that's right.
And it can definitely lead to concussions, especially at the early ages, because our bodies aren't developed enough to handle that pressure of the ball. And I do agree that children could benefit from wearing mouth guards in soccer, and so this is a cultural issue, I think, more than anything else, where we either have to mandate it or it has to become more culturally acceptable.
So it's not mandated yet?
It's not mandated yet.
Is there anything afoot to make it a mandate?
I am not aware.
Okay.
Now, the interesting thing is that soccer, U.S. soccer has just adopted a rule where children under the age of 10 cannot head the ball in a game. They're not allowed.
Right.
So that's an interesting development.
Okay.
The jury's still out on that in terms of is that good or bad?
Okay.
Because we're seeing other things take place now where kids are trying to kick a ball way high in the air that should be headed, and now we're putting
they're gonna fall on their head.
We're putting feet in front of players' faces.
Okay.
And so that creates another issue. So the only equipment mandated in soccer is shin guards. So they mandate that you wear shin guards to protect your shins.
Like that's the most important part of the body or something? Not the brain?
Right. That's the
Or the
most
teeth?
likely to get hit. But, I could see a mandate coming down the road for something like a mouth guard or some piece of equipment that does protect. They do have these padded helmets that you can wear in soccer, and some kids wear them.
Okay.
So,
but the problem is the other kids tease them probably right now. The mentality is...
Maybe a little bit. I don't hear a lot of teasing, but it just doesn't seem like it's as acceptable.
Okay. I get it. I don't get it, but I understand.
Right.
All right, now we're gonna do a Dr. Kvitko's question of the day soon. We're not gonna do it right this minute because I want to talk. Steve, as we mentioned, he's written a book called Playing for the Long Run. So one of the prizes is going to be a free copy of that book, right, Steve?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, you're going to be able to win 4 lawn passes to Columbus with the Pops at Columbus Commons. And anyway, but before we do that, we need you to listen to this.
This station will not be held liable for any contesting during The Reasons We Smile with Dr. Kvitko. Participation in the contest allows Dr. Kvitko to record and broadcast your name and call. 1 winner per household. Prizes are non-transferable, cannot be substituted, and are subject to taxes and fees. This station cannot be responsible for the inability to enter the contest, whether due to equipment malfunction or telephone difficulties. All decisions of Dr. Kvitko concerning this contest or eligibility are final.
And now it's time for Dr. Kvitko's question of the day.
All right, and today's question is about my guest, Steve Locker. Which of the following statements are true? A, he believes that before kids can play like a pro, they must enjoy playing the game like a kid. B, Steve played soccer for Penn State and also professionally for Hannover 96 in Germany. C, Steve spent 16 years as a head coach, 7 of those years as head coach of Harvard University, where they won 2 Ivy League titles. Or D, all of the above. All right, again, the winner's going to receive 4 lawn tickets to Picnic with the Pop, the Police Experience for Saturday, July 16th at 8 p.m. It's held at the Columbus Commons, and a free copy of Steve Locker's book, Playing for the Long Run. All right, the number to call, 614-459-9769. That's 614-459-9769. So go ahead and call now.
Hi, I'm Keith Carlos, winner of America's Next Top Model and star of Chocolate City 2. Look for my smile on the big screen this summer, courtesy of Dr. Kvitko. Stay tuned to The Reasons We Smile with Dr. Kvitko, the world's most interesting dentist.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kvitko, general dentist and host of the Reasons We Smile radio and roadshow. Did you know that you no longer need to visit several different dental professionals to get more complete dental care? We handle everything from cleanings and orthodontics to restoration, implants, and smile makeovers, all in my office. And now we have 2 locations. Get the most advanced technology and procedures available today. It's more complete dentistry.
Visit worldsmostinterestingdentist.com for more info about Dr. Kvitko.
Dr. Kovac, let's
I'm Johanna, and I've been a dental patient at Dr. Kovico and Associates for over 10 years. I would really recommend Dr. Kovico for your family's dental care. They're friendly. They're always there to help me. I feel like family when I walk in the door. It's clean, it's comfortable. Even if I have to bring my kids, they have a great playroom for them. I know when I'm with Dr. Kovico, they are taking that extra time to make sure that I'm going to be the healthiest I can be. They've been great. I love them.
Call Dr. Kovico and Associates today, 614-262-9588.
Hi, my name's Athena. My family and I have been patients of Dr. Kovico and Associates for over 10 years. We've founded Dr. Kovico for numerous reasons, especially cleanings, crowns, and root canals. Since going to Dr. Kovico, I get compliments every day on how beautiful my smile is, and people always ask me how I get my teeth so white. I used to be afraid of the dentist, but Dr. Kovico and his staff make you feel very comfortable and relaxed, and I'm not afraid anymore. I would recommend Dr. Kovico for all your family's dental needs.
Call Dr. Kovico and Associates today, 614-262-9588.
Hi, this is Richard Simmons. Dr. Kovico's here, and he's going to help you with all of your problems. Are your teeth yellow? He can fix that. Are you missing a tooth? He can put a new one in. How is that?
That's very good. Thank you, Richard. All right, we're back. We're doing Dr. Kovico's question of the day. We have 4 people on the line. We have Ebony, Mary, Steve, and Joanne, and I'm going to ask Steve Locker, who's in the studio with me, to pick a number between 1 and 4. 3? I don't think I heard him. Was he on over the air? Say it again? 3. Okay, he said 3. That would be, that would be Mary. All right, that would be Mary. All right, hey, Mary, are you there?
I am.
Great. Do you have an answer to Dr. Kovico's question of the day?
Yes, all the above.
All of the above is correct. All right. So, hey, stay on the line. What do you do for a living, Mary? I always ask folks.
I work at FedEx customer service.
Oh, awesome. Okay. You don't work 24 hours a day, do you?
No,
like
absolutely
they do.
Not.
Hey, what's that jet out at Bolton Field? Does that thing even fly?
Oh, it goes.
It does?
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Every time I go golfing at Mental Memorial, I drive by it and I'm thinking, is that thing just for a plant? Anyway.
Oh, no.
That one flies. That's neat to know. All right. Well, hey, Mary, stay on the line so we know how to get the information. We have to get your address so we can send you the book and the tickets. Okay?
Right, thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. So if you're just joining us, I'm Dr. Kovico. This is The Reasons We Smile. It's episode number 444. And today we're talking with Steve Locker of Second Nature Sports. And so, Steve, we were talking before the break about mouth guards and concussions and stuff, but let's change focus a little bit. Let's talk about a little bit about parents. So, like, what is your advice to a parent who wants their child to play a particular sport? Now, let's say it is soccer. Mm-hmm. That's really what they want them to do. How do they navigate that kind of encouraging or massaging their child into thinking it's their choice and loving it? Is there a way, or do you really just have to let the child pick by exposing them to a bunch of sports?
I really think it's best to let the child decide. We generally, as parents, introduce our children to the sports that we played as adults. I think that's very common, or sports that we may like. And then we also try to encourage them in many different directions and hope that at some point they'll kind of pick what they like. I find that kids can't really make that decision until they get a little bit older, maybe 10, 11, or 12 years old, when they start to really develop a little bit of a passion for a sport. Prior to that, they're just playing for fun.
Right.
But we as parents, because we start them so young, we're starting children at age 3, 4, and 5 years old into these programs. They're not ready to pick yet. So it has to be something that requires a little bit of patience and just, let them continue to play. And they'll eventually find something that they really like. They have to have a good experience in it as well.
I like to joke. See, when I was a kid growing up, I played, pee-wee baseball. I played basketball, a little bit of like football. I'm small, so I never really went anywhere with football. But we played, tag and not tag, the flag football and all that in the yard. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, my kids wanted to do stuff I'd never been exposed to. They went lacrosse. I didn't know I didn't know the rules. I didn't know the rules. In fact, I didn't think there were any rules because it looks like they can just whack the kid with the stick. You know, I don't know if you know what the rule is on that? As long as it doesn't go more than 90 degrees back, you can hit them as hard as you want with the stick.
Yeah.
If you swing back. And I'm like, wow. So I guess the reality is that our child's probably going to select something that we don't necessarily feel like we're an expert in, and we just have to nurture that and learn about the sport that the kid loves.
Right, and embrace it. Yeah, I think it's it's great. I think it's healthy. And it's fun.
So the mistakes, in your opinion, that a lot of parents are making is what, or are what?
Well, I think. In many cases, we as parents, we select goals for our children that are probably not realistic. We may say, well, I want my child to play in high school or in college, or I want my child to get a scholarship, and we use these as goals versus I want my child to be well-adjusted, caring, respectful, and healthy.
Right.
And the best way to achieve those goals is for us as parents to live that kind of lifestyle, because our children will emulate what we do.
Oh, that is so true. I say that all the time because like a parent who says to their child, make sure you brush your teeth, but they never see dad brush his.
Exactly.
They're not going to brush.
Right. So we as parents have to be the role models. And I know every sport that I learned growing up, we didn't have private coaches. I learned how to ski, play tennis, soccer. Everything I learned from copying, by imitating. And I became technically sound at many different things because our culture allowed that to happen. And so we have to remember that our children will copy everything that we do.
Right.
And if you really want your child to be successful athletically or healthy, you have to have that kind of lifestyle. And I think that's the most important thing that we as parents can do.
Is be a role model.
Be good role models.
Okay. I've always said I wanted my kids to be happy, healthy, well-adjusted adults. That's it. And in fact, I'm meeting my daughter's new boyfriend later on when we get off the show, a few hours from now. And he's a little bit older than her. And they're all nervous about what I'm going to think. And it's like, if you make my daughter happy, you are okay with me.
Right.
That's it. That's all I care about. Is just make her happy.
Yes.
So anyway, so I obviously agree. It looks like we are up against the break. We need to go to another break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more with Steve Locker of Second Nature Sports. Don't go away.
This is Clark Kellogg. Stay tuned for more of Dr. Kvitko.
When it comes to the overall health of your teeth, trust the experience of Dr. Kvitko and Associates. From dental cleanings and exams to restoration, dental implants, and pediatric care, Dr. Kvitko and Associates can give you something to smile about.
There's a lot of places out there that offer discount dentistry, but at Dr. Kvitko's, he actually takes the time.
See what Dr. Kvitko and Associates can do for you. Conveniently located on High Street in Clintonville, call 262-9588. Or online at drkvitko.com.
Estás escuchando con Dr. Kvitko aquí en su estación favorita.
Hi, I'm Dominique Reichert. Like what you hear? Why not use the show to promote your product or service by becoming a sponsor? Call 614-262-9588 to learn how. That's 614-262-9588. Call now.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kvitko, general dentist and host of the Reasons We Smile radio and roadshow. I've been honored to help several famous people get a perfect smile, like Keith Carlos and Dominique Reigard from America's Next Top Model, and Ted the Golden Voice Williams from right here in Columbus. Isn't it time you had a celebrity smile? It costs less than you might think, and most of the time, it can be done in one visit. A new smile can make a world of difference.
Visit worldsmostinterestingdentist.com for more info about Dr. Kvitko.
I'm Grandpa, and I go to Dr. Kvitko, and I still have all my teeth. Real ones. Where's my glasses?
We're back. I'm Dr. Kvitko. This is The Reasons We Smile, episode number 444. Today we have Steve Locker of Second Nature Sports in the studio with us. I'm so grateful for Steve. You came here, took time out of your day. I think that shows you're passionate about what you do. Now, you spent a lot of time, 2 decades, in collegiate sports coaching. And what was it that got you interested in youth sports?
I had an opportunity to watch my 2 children participating in a gymnastics program.
How old were they?
They at the time were about 2 and 3 years old.
Okay.
And I saw what was going on from an analytical standpoint in terms of development, and I saw how much they enjoyed it and the fun. And having watched that from a critical perspective, I thought, I really think, because my sport was soccer, I really think there's an opportunity here for developing children in a different way than what we can do from gymnastics that was interesting. And it was at that point that I called up my friend at Ohio State, who was a child development professor, and said, hey, I've got this idea. What do you think? And he said, this is awesome. Let's get together. Cool. And we started having some brainstorming sessions and putting together ideas and curriculum. And that was how my notion of creating a business around child development in soccer was born.
So did any of your kids play soccer? Did they play?
They do, and they still play.
Okay.
And interestingly, I've always had this notion that I was holding my kids back because I've approached it in a very patient manner, and I've never pushed. And I've also been their coach, which is an interesting dynamic, but I've always tried to allow them to develop in a very patient way. I've never pushed. In fact, when my son was 14 years old trying out for a select team, which I was not coaching, I went to the coach of the A team and I said, don't pick my son for the A team, which is completely opposite of what every other parent. I think he might, but it's completely opposite of what every other parent is doing.
Right.
And the reason is because I didn't see his skill level meshing with the style of that particular coach.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't think it would be good at his age to
he might get turned off by too rigorous, too competitive. You're afraid it was going to turn off your son to the sport altogether.
Well, I think the style of play was counter to what his style of play was.
I see.
And so I didn't think it would mesh well. And I thought, let's get him in a different environment where it still continues to develop him the way I believe is the appropriate way.
Okay.
And so, and he's now going to be a junior in high school, and he's loving the game. He's very successful at it, and doing quite well. And so it's been fun to watch. It's actually working.
Now we're running out of time.
Sure.
Before we do, I want to make sure, where is your facility and how can people reach you in about a minute?
So we have facilities in the city of Powell and in Gahanna.
Okay.
We have our own indoor facilities where we run classes for children. And lockersoccer.com is the website which allows you to find out a lot about the programs that we offer for children.
And that's different than 2nsports.com.
And 2nsports.com is my business where I work on coaching education, parent education, speaking engagements, talking to people about
got it.
About this issue of navigating youth sports.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad that we had you on the show. And if people want to learn more, they can go to either lockersoccer.com or 2nsports.com. And by the way, it's the number 2 and the letter N sports.com.
Correct. Thank you.
Steve. Hey, maybe we can do it again sometime.
I'd love to. Wonderful.
Sounds good.
Thank you. It's a great program.
Thanks so much. All right, so that's all the time we have today. Next week in the studio with me will be Jennifer Knoll of the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission. The topic will be Insight 2050. Now, that's pretty cool because what they do is they predict what we're going to look like in the year 2050. And it's really neat research. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Dr. Kvitko and visit my office Facebook page and like us. It's called Dr. Kvitko and Associates. Remember that all past episodes, complete with video, are available at thereasonswesmile.com. Be sure to tune in next week and every week right here on your favorite station. Goodbye.
This is Carly Red from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, the hit show on VH1, urging you to tune in next week with my dentist, Dr. Kvitko.
If you're interested in learning more about this and other dental health topics, go to thereasonswesmile.com to access full episodes of Dr. Kvitko's show.
If you'd like Dr. Kvitko, the world's most interesting dentist, to speak at your next event, please call 614-262-9588. That's 614-262-9588, or send an email to speaking@thereasonswesmile.com.